In an age of digital online church, why even bother showing up? Let's talk about it. This is Bite Size Theology. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bite Size Theology, a ministry of Springfield First, where we tackle big topics around faith, one bite at a time. I'm your host, Allison Means, and today I'm joined by Justin Snyder as we talk about why church is even important. So why go to church?
I was going to ask you that first, Allison. Church is Jesus' idea, so let's just get that out first. I mean, Jesus wants us to be part of the church since Jesus founded the church. And I want to begin by just saying, online church can be a great gift at times when we're traveling, when we're sick, when we are somehow disconnected to our community, as a way to maybe learn about a church. There's a lot of benefits to online church, digital church, watching church services at odd times or, beyond Sunday morning.
Totally.
I think those are great. But we are encouraged to be in a living, breathing, physically present church community, some kind of faith community where we can be known face to face, where we can shake hands and maybe sometimes give hugs or sit in the same room and taste Holy Communion that we are all sharing and hear the sounds and to be there presently, bodily present to one another. Because Jesus is an incarnate God. At Christmas time, we make a big deal of we are celebrating at Christmas the incarnation of God, God taking on flesh. Jesus was completely human, completely divine, and God took on our human nature and came to be with us. So the physical presence of Jesus was absolutely huge to the story of Jesus. I mean, that's all throughout the Gospels, and the church since then has always basically taught that Jesus' bodily presence and bodily resurrection is a absolutely crucial part of the story. So in a world of disembodied church or disembodied forms of church, I think it can be a radical reminder to us to take part in a living, breathing body of Christ or church community where we can be together physically.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of words to say. It's really important.
Really important. One of the things that, really strikes me when, we're talking about this topic is that when you have, if you're watching a church's online stream,
Sure.
You're missing what I think is some of the most important part of that time in the building, which is not on the stream, which is, getting coffee with the person that last week said they were having a tough time with something, or seeing someone's little baby, or all those like real human experiences that are so important. Giving a hug to your friend, asking somebody how their week's been. All those little tiny things make such a difference in just your immediate mood.
Yeah. In our culture, human communities are getting harder to do in a sense. Like we can, some of us will work jobs where it's always remote, or we will have our entire leisure life set up where it's working out on a streaming service bike or watching Netflix at night or whatever it is. And so having just human interaction in some ways is getting more difficult. And just being in a part of a third place community or being with people who but they're not in your immediate family, that's becoming a little bit more rare in our world today, or at least in North American society. Not so much in other parts of the world, but definitely in America, that's the case. And so to belong to a real community where you show up and you take part in whatever way that is really important. Now, again, not to downplay how useful and really beneficial online church can be. So I don't want anyone to hear that I'm somehow, speaking down to them or whatever. But
no, I mean, we have online church for us.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, like it's useful, it's beneficial. and you can have relationships with people online.
Yeah.
But I think of even, people that you talk with a lot online, that friendships that you may have online, or even romantic relationships.
Yeah.
People always want to eventually meet each other in the IRL, in real life, right?
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that's always, I think, our human compulsion is to seek actual physical connection with one another.
Yeah. I think we see this in how movie theaters have kind of bounced back since COVID. Some people were spelling the doom of movie theaters, in 2020, like they'll just gonna be closed.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that necessarily. It's been rocky for the movie theater industry, but people still want to sit in a theater and have that big screen in front of them and to sit with other people. You're not talking to other people necessarily. Sometimes you are.
Sometimes.
But the movies I go to. But my point is, like, we want to go to the theater or to watch a live theater production, or if we want to be together at a concert. Recently, I went to a music concert, and we probably could have found a great version of that band's performance online and put it on the TV. But that's way different than going there in person to be there.
There's something about being physically present in that space. And worship is the same way. Christianity is an embodied faith. And so, worship is a prime example of we use our bodies to worship. And so we need to be in a worshiping community that can embody the things Jesus wants us to embody. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, probably the most powerful worship experience I've ever had in my life was in a really stripped down acoustic set. People, it was in the round. So the musicians are in the center. There's people surrounding them. It was actually at a conference of worship people. So, the music's going to be good. But it's, no lights, no screens, just people worshiping together.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people together. And it was so powerful and so beautiful. And if I was watching that
live stream or whatever,
I don't think it would have been. I don't think that feeling of the room of, being a part of something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
I don't think that always translates across a screen.
Sure. Yeah. No, I agree. I think and I bet we could figure out other areas of our lives where that's important, to have. Whereas, I think of people who follow a sports team and they have a great setup at home to watch the game, but what they want to do is to be with a community of fellow fans, so they'll go to the sports bar down the road so they can watch it together, or they'll find some other way to watch it in community where they can be around people if they can't be in the stadium or the arena themselves. So in all areas of life, we long for embodied experience, like you were saying. And the Christian faith is an embodied faith, like we keep saying. And so it really does make a difference long term that we can belong to a community. And I also think one of the things that we tell new members who are just thinking about becoming a new member anyway at our church is that to be part of a church, you need to be in a place where you can receive, but you can also give back. And people will know you, but you can also know others, and you can help others. And so when we only think of church in terms of what can I get out of it, I could call that maybe a more consumer mindset where we're just trying to find a good deal in church. We're just trying to say, how can I get something out of it? And at some level, we all do that. But when we can turn that corner and look at church community as something we have an obligation to enhance ourselves, that we want to serve and we want to invest in other people, and that will ultimately strengthen the body of Christ, then it weakens if we don't show up. It really harms the overall witness when we limit how we are going to give back to strengthening the church. And so we sometimes say when new members come into our church, your presence is going to make us a better church.
Yeah.
And so we are looking forward to how you're going to give your prayers, presence, gift, service, and witness, some of the big 5 categories that we talk about, how that's going to improve our church. But all that is dependent upon us getting together in a regular
Right.
manner. Yeah.
Yeah, to like you said, to not only be known, but to know another person.
Yeah.
That is so huge. Like, you're never gonna feel really fulfilled
Yeah.
just consuming,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, eventually you've got to do something with
Yeah.
it. And you coming and serving as a part of the church in, gosh, there's so many different areas, no matter what your talents are, even if you think you don't have any talents, which that's so not true, but some people think that.
Sure.
There's ways that you can really make a difference to somebody else, even if it's just saying hi to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming in the door. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
You know?
And we get it. People have busy lives. There are seasons of life that sometimes limit what we can be involved in, and that we totally get that. And that's totally normal. But having some kind of an ongoing investment in the life of a church is so important. Now, okay, some people will probably hear me, a pastor, say this. Like, of course you would say that. Like, you're on the payroll. Of course you would say something like that. But, you know, I would just say, hey, it doesn't have to be our church. Like, I think it's good for you to be part of a church. So if it's down the street, if it's somewhere else in some other town. But yeah, I would hope if possible, if you are medically able to go physically to a church, then I would suggest that you bring yourself to try it out and make that the regular rhythm of your life, or one of the regular rhythms in your life.
Yeah, before I was on staff here, I was just a member here.
Yeah, sure.
And that was so, like, just being a part of a group of people that I, you know, could come back to every week and touch base with and just like have that experience was so important for me and for my family. Especially, we don't have, you know, immediate family here in Springfield.
Yeah.
So having those deep connections with other people has been really, really important and helpful. And, you know, to see other people care about and love, you know, my son has been so wonderful. Like, it's such a gift. And then to be able to have those kind of relationships with other people and you know, just get to know them and pour into their lives and help them in different ways I cannot really truly express how much that enriches your life.
Yeah. You know, I think back to the early days of COVID, 2020 and some parts of 2021, and how we got to the summer, and at that point lockdown was stretching out and people were getting more frustrated. And I remember we held a number of events, kind of socially distanced events.
Yeah.
And first of all, I hope we never have to do anything like that again, because it was really hard. But I just remember the longing for human community during those months of April, May, June of 2020. I remember when Pastor Nicole left, the long line of cars that stretched outside our parking lot, to just be able to drive up and just say physically, you know, be physically present and say thank you to her.
Yeah.
And then we did a parking lot worship service, kind of as a one-off, and then we added it as a regular thing, and a pavilion service. And that, while COVID really was hard on most churches, that also was an example of just how people long to be physically together in some way. And we had to kind of make creative ways to do that. So I remember, again, the parking lot service, speaking into a microphone, and cars would honk when they, I mean, just things like, it was so weird, and it was kind of fun at the same time. And again, that proves how we long to be connected. And again, not to downplay online engagement and online church. We have probably close to at least 100 screens on a Sunday right now at Springfield First. So how many people that is who watch live online, I don't know. But we're very grateful for those people. And some live out of town, and some here are here locally. But it also incorporating hopefully everybody into an embodied expression of the church is a key thing, I think, that we want to at least encourage people to do.
Oh, definitely. I would 100% agree with that. It's important to physically be present with one another.
Yeah, I think so. Now, of course, that gets into like scheduling, and we talk about busy lives, and I know sometimes our weekends get a lot of things get on our weekend calendar, but eventually to be disciples who are growing in their faith, we do need to be around people. Yeah. So, for example, if a son or daughter who's maybe a teenager, they're playing sports and they, the coach says, hey, we have practice on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I'm guessing that coach says, you have the option to do online practice if you want. It's probably not going to be the case. It's probably going to, no, we need to be on the field at 4:00 and we're going to be, together playing a sport. And I say that not to, again, just wag fingers here, because I like sports and so much good can come from it in a young person's life, but also making a commitment to regular worship and a regular participation in some kind of smaller group is key. Some place where you can be known by others, where you can take part in discussion, where you can not just receive maybe a Sunday morning's content, to use that phrase, but also where you can discuss and go deeper in whatever it is, the topic that you're talking about. That's so important as well.
Oh yeah, that's where like real spiritual growth happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sunday morning can only do so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining me, Justin, and thanks to all of you watching and listening online. Join us next time on Bite Size Theology. Bye!